today, or?
It would definitely be later this afternoon or sometime after 2:30 or something, but is it something we can handle by phone?
Yeah, if you're willing to. I shut my door here, I'm sorry. I had to shut my office door here, it's just me that's on the phone here.
Okay.
So basically you probably already heard about what's going on or why I need to call you, but...
Well, I haven't actually. I just heard from Greg Simpson that, I guess, slate card went out to some of the voters, and Greg called me, and then he called me again yesterday. Greg seems to call me about every day.
Right.
But yesterday he said that apparently the sheriff's office has washed their hands of it in his terms, or his words. So.
Well, yeah, and I'm confused by that because that's not what I explained to him. I told him that, we were working with the post office down in Cincinnati, the postal inspector. I told him that the proper channel per the ORC that we can see. I mean, I don't deal with mail fraud or whatever he's alleging on a regular basis, and the one section in ORC that we can find. It says that it has to be referred to the state election committee first. They do their investigation, and then they'll contact the local prosecutor's office if there's a violation of law. So by no means did I tell Mr. Simpson that we are washing our hands of it, or that someone else had told me that he says that he's been cleared of any wrongdoings. That's also not accurate, because honestly I don't even know if I have any wrongdoings that's been reported. I just have the report that he made. So basically the report that he made says that a slate, you said it's a slate, I'm catching up on the terms, but basically a slate flyer had gone out that wasn't approved by the Republican Party, I guess in the simplest terms. And he's denying any knowledge or any approval of that going out. He says that for that to go out, it would have to be approved by the Republican Party, because the flyer itself says it's approved by the Republican Party and funded by the Republican Party. Well, obviously apparently that's not the case. They're saying they didn't pay for it, they didn't authorize it. So what I've done as a dumb investigator, just trying to think, okay, well, how can I figure this out, is I went directly to the printing company that the Republican Party used to see if anybody went ahead and made this purchase for these cards. So that's led me to a couple other places. I talked to Mr. Ken Hare at a place in Union Township, and he says that, and provided me emails where there's correspondence between you and him about ordering some of these flyers. However, and the emails say that you were directed by Greg Simpson to do this, but I guess Greg Simpson was contacted and he said, no, don't do it because it wasn't voted upon. Is that accurate?
Sergeant Boerger?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I kind of missed you there. I thought I lost you. Sorry.
No, what I was saying is that Ken Hare, in the emails he sent me, basically said he received a request from you, or an inquiry about ordering 15 to 25,000 of these flyers and asking for a quote on price. But then there was some confusion where he contacted Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson said it hadn't been approved and not to place that order until he got back to him. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, so then I've been in contact with another company, a guy named Jay Heidemann, who says that around March 30th or 31st that you asked for a quote for the same number of cards. However, you were able to find it about $200 cheaper with another company. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Which company? Did you in fact place an order for these cards?
No, I did not. But later, I think I told, was it Jay Heidemann? Forget the name of his company, Peerless, I think it was.
It is.
But I think I went back to him later and said that I found it cheaper, but we did not go through with it. We could not get approval from the committee because we were going to try to do a last minute. We were really under the gun to get this done. So I was trying to get these quotes in place and get things going because we were supposed to have a meeting to approve it. And it would have been easily approved simply because I made phone calls to everybody on the executive committee that would have voted for it.
Correct.
So I was basically trying to make sure, because when the Secretary of State decided to postpone things, all of a sudden he started sending out postcards to people who haven't voted, letting them know that they could vote, but we were kind of behind the gun in the executive committee to approve this postcard. So I was trying to get everything lined up. So when we got the thing done, as you know, when you want to print something, it's going to take you 5 days to 10 days to get something put together, and that's what Ken Hare told me. So I was just setting that up. Simpson said that was probably a good thing to do, but in the end, we couldn't meet because of the coronavirus, and then later Greg said, well, let's meet and have a conference call and we can make the motion on the phone call. And then later Greg says, well, we couldn't do that either, at which point everything stopped.
Right.
So I think I told Jay, I think I have an email to him, or it was another group that I asked the price from, that we weren't going to get through with it, even though we had a cheaper price someplace else. But I think another place that I had asked for pricing was Staples down on Reading Road. Kind of works for me. His wife is a manager there.
So here's I guess, I don't think there's a problem with the cards being ordered and purchased, because that you can buy whatever you want. The problem is where the cards get sent out, and it's my understanding what happens is these are called chaser flyers, where someone requests an absentee ballot, and every couple of days, certain people get a copy of those people who requested those absentee ballots, and then the Republican Party will send out these ballots to kind of assist with voting, or let people know who the endorsed candidates are. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a chaser, we call it.
Okay. So it sounds to me like someone, or somehow there had to be a lack of a break in communication, or someone got overzealous, because these chasers did end up getting sent out to people, and I have at least a couple copies where a person wasn't even on the list until April 2nd around noontime, and then they are sent a flyer on April 3rd. Now we believe that these were all sent directly from the bulk mail department at the Dalton post office. So I've contacted the postal inspector there, and they told me it's going to take a couple of days to get, but they think they can track down if these were sent down there, because I guess they have to. There's going to be a log. Someone would have had to come in and maybe sign something. There could be video of who dropped these flyers off, this and that. So we're going to find that. My goal, though, or my purpose is to try to speed things up, is just to try to establish, okay, first of all, who printed these off, or which company printed these off, or who paid for this, because then, let's say, for instance, you contacted Staples and you said, hey, I want to place this order, however, that's it. Could it be possible that someone then, not knowing or didn't realize, sent these out without authorization? I mean, I don't see there's a problem with them being printed off or paid for. It just becomes an issue, obviously, when it wasn't voted upon. I think you understand probably more than I do what I'm trying to explain. But I'm trying to find out, where these cards originated from. And like I said, at this point, the only in all fairness, the only person who I've even been told inquired about purchasing these cards from two different companies is you. That's why I wanted to talk to you and say, hey, did you in fact purchase these? And if you did, where are they? Is somebody else in charge of those cards, and could that person have sent these out by mistake, not realizing that there wasn't approval yet? I mean, there could be an explanation for this. But at first, we need to find out who paid for these chasers and where they came from.
Yeah, well, I think I'm the one who told Greg, as well as Jeannie Zarmley, who is our treasurer. I told Rick Grant, who's our vice chairman of the party, and maybe somebody else, that we should not be sending these out without approval, because of the fact that, that's how we do it. I mean, you always have to get approval to send these out. So, anyhow, but I am chasing with my own card. We are doing that, and I have basically a 6x11 David Uible for office card, which is being chased in 4 counties. So we are doing that bulk mail.
Okay. Well, like I said, our issue, or what we've been asked to do, is just a specific. I think it's like a 4x6 card, to try to figure that out. Because obviously, and what you're saying, like I said, I don't see a problem with someone ordering these and paying for them. And I understand that there was a meeting scheduled for April 1st. So if these cards were ordered and paid for prior to April 1st, I don't see that being an issue. I also agree with you, because I've talked to several people that said, hey, had there been a meeting April 1st, there would have been a vote, and the vote would have passed, Even people who opposed it say that. So they said, but that's the way to do it. However, that meeting was canceled, so these cards end up going out anyway, and the problem with them is they do say endorsed by the Republican Party, paid for by the Republican Party, and they're addressed back to the Republican Party with Greg Simpson's name on it. So again, my job is to find out. I don't know how many there were, but there were some cards that were sent out. I don't know how many at this point. But I have at least a couple in my possession, and again, the person who received it was not on the chaser list until April 2nd. So my question was just, okay, if I can track down who ordered and paid for these cards, I can find out where they are and who has them, because maybe if there was 25,000 paid for and ordered, maybe only 100%. I don't know. But I need to find out, and I was hoping to do that quicker than the post office. I'm pretty confident the post office is going to give me the answer as to who mailed these. But I need to find out who purchased these cards and where they are. And like I said, at this point, and just being fair, you're the only person who has inquired with companies about purchasing these cards.
Correct. Yeah. Well, that's true. But as I said, I did that just to kind of head off so we could save time.
But you did not have any knowledge. Is it fair to say you don't have any knowledge of these cards being purchased or ordered or printed or mailed? Any of those things, as we've discussed, that I'm dealing with?
That's correct.
Okay. Any idea? Like I said, any idea who may have gone ahead?
Well, I believe our whole party. We've got 160, as many as 170 members of the Central Committee, Republican Central Committee, and that's our goal, is to endorse candidates and send out slate cards like this to get the candidates selected. And I know a couple weeks before, I don't know when it was, up till mid of last week, there was an email chain going out with 157 members' emails on it. And it became rather volatile. People were very much for getting these out quickly because we were losing time. And then there was a handful of people who were saying adamantly we shouldn't send it out because they were sending out their own slate cards. So in the end, anybody and everybody could potentially be candidates that would either have liked to see this go out or not like to see it go out. So, as I told Greg, it's obvious the candidates that were on the endorsement list were beneficiaries of getting this out. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that were pretty angry that this wasn't going out.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying. So, like I said, my thoughts were, okay, I go and I try to find out, okay, who printed off the card, because I understand that everybody that's on that endorsed list benefits from this flyer going out. I understand that. It's advertisements and it's an endorsement. Like I said, my point though was, obviously that narrows it down for some, because those candidates would benefit the most. But then you can also narrow it down even further than that, because only a few people on that list or those candidates get the chaser list. So whoever had these cards printed and made, it would have been worthless to them unless they had the chaser list. And that's my point, is that it does make sense as far as this. And my guess is, if I had to offer an explanation here, is my guess is these were sent out just because they anticipated it would have been approved. And like I said, everybody tells me, yes, these would have been approved had it been, there would have been a vote. You may have had some people vote against it because they're not endorsed, but they're still running as Republicans. But it would have still gone through. However, there was never a vote, and that's why it's a problem. So,
yeah, well, I think this Claremont County's Board of Elections sends out about twice a week the list of an Excel sheet of who is asked for the mail-in ballots, and I get that along with maybe 10, 12, 15 other people on that list.
Right. So you understand my way to then narrow down even further who. Sure. So it's now down to 12 people. Go ahead.
So we're using that because I'm chasing with my 6 by 11 inch card that I'm using. So Yeah, I mean, I am chasing, but that's with my own card.
Sure. So that, and like I said, I mean, in fairness, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you was, again, not to keep repeating myself, but at this point, the only person who has shown any interest in purchasing these 4x6 cards through at least two companies at this point is you. So I'm just trying to verify that you did not, in fact, purchase these cards from another company. You know, like I said, I'm pretty confident that the post office is going to be able to assist us in where these generated from. And, you know, like I said, if there's an explanation for it, I think it's better to get it out there now. If there's a miscommunication or something, than other than saying, well, hey, we asked. There was a denial of of knowledge, and now, well, here's evidence that someone did, in fact, send these out. So,
something else to think about, and that is the slate card that Greg sent me. He sent me a copy of what he got in the mail from somebody else, but it was widely distributed. That PDF file was widely distributed among all Republican Central Committee meetings, our members, and we were all encouraged to text it to friends and family and everybody else. So that image was widely distributed among everybody. It was even on multiple websites, including Claremont County's website. So I think that's, it wasn't like some kind of proprietary knowledge that I had. It was something that was distributed everywhere. It was public record, put it that way.
Yeah, and the print is very close to what was actually designed at both locations. I mean, there is one or two minor discrepancies on the front of the card where there's the elephant is supposed to be red, white, and blue. However, on the card that was sent out, it's black. And then there's supposed to be a disclaimer on there that says your official voting guide or something along those lines, and that doesn't appear on this card that was sent out. So, like I said, I mean, I don't even know at the end of the day when I do find out, who's responsible for these, what involvement, if any, the sheriff's office has, or what kind of even things we could look into. Like I said, that's why we've contacted the post office, and that's also why Mr. Simpson was referred to the State Election Commission, because the only ORC we see that even applies says that the State Commission has to conduct the investigation first, and then would contact us later. So I appreciate your time, sir. I mean, if anything else comes up or any other details you think of that may be helpful, I'd appreciate. And I appreciate, you taking my call.
Yeah, just as a note, I mean, Greg Simpson did offer to give me $1,000 to send this out. And I told Greg, basically in no uncertain terms, Greg, we can't do that without approval from the executive committee.
When did Greg offer you $1,000 to send them out?
I don't think Greg knew that it was on because he is chairman of the party. But I guess having been former chairman myself, I understood the implications of that. But it was probably 10 days ago. I mean, it was before it was the day that maybe Monday a week ago. We were supposed to be meeting last Wednesday to approve this as execs. And when Greg called me and said, we probably can't meet.
But you're saying prior to that scheduled meeting, he had offered or was going to give you $1,000 to order these?
Yeah, I mean, he was making a contribution. He said, hey, I'll give you $1,000 to go ahead and do this.
Well, which makes sense with the email chain that I have with Mr. Hare, because you tell Mr. Hare that you're quoting the prices and you say that Greg Simpson told you to go ahead and take care of it.
Sure.
And then I think after a couple of emails, of the proof and stuff like that, Mr. Hare actually said to you, respectfully, when you were the chair, I only dealt with you and only took orders from you. And that's when he contacted Mr. Simpson, and Mr. Simpson said to hold off on the order until there was approval. So that all corroborates.
Yeah, at which point Ken got back to me and said that email, and I said, I understand, no problem, Ken. At which point then I also sent a text, or not a text, but I replied to an email from the guy at Peerless Printing saying, effectively, we're not going to do this. We could not get approval from the committee. So
yeah, he said that, and also he said that you'd further mentioned that you had found someone to do the job $200 cheaper than what he was quoting, is what he told me.
Correct.
And that was the Staples company?
Staples, I believe so, yeah. I think they were hurrying for business or something, I'm not sure. But
And you mentioned that someone that works for Staples?
Yeah, Yeah, the guy, somebody works for me, his wife works there, so.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I mean, I appreciate your time. If anything else, you think of anything else, I'd appreciate a call back. This is my cell phone number, the best way to reach me, so I appreciate it.
Great.
Take care, sir. All right. Have a good day. Bye. 10:39 a.m. on Thursday, April 9, 2020. It was a phone conversation with David Uible. It'll be end of the recording.